live on TV. We're going live on YouTube. YouTube takes a little while.
All right, so we're good?
We are live on TV, but YouTube is taking longer than it usually does right now. It's still spinning its wheels. We could always record this and upload it later.
Okay. All right, so we'll call our meeting to order. So welcome to the meeting for, is it Tuesday, March 23rd for the Recreation Commission meeting. And we'll call the meeting to order. We have 7 members present. So our first item, well, it's to call to order. The second item is consideration of minutes from previous meetings. So we have our meeting minutes from the February 23rd and the March 9th meetings to review. So I guess we'll do them one at a time. We'll first talk about the February 23rd. Did everybody have a chance to review those?
Yep. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 23rd.
I will second that.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Ruggles, Commissioner Ruggles, full-time Commissioner Ruggles, and second by Commissioner Gannon. Any discussion? All right, then we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mr. Burns.
I abstain.
Mr. Gannon.
Aye.
Mr. Weber.
Aye.
Mr. Ames.
Aye.
Mr. Bosky.
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that carries 6-0-1. All right, and then now the meeting minutes for March 9th.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from March 9th.
And I will second that motion.
All right, so motion from Commissioner Ruggles and second by Commissioner Gannon. Any discussion? All right, we'll go another roll call. And Mr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mr. Burns.
Aye.
Mr. Gannon.
Aye.
Mr. Weber.
Abstain.
Mr. Ames.
Aye.
Mr. Bosky.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So again, that carries 6-0-1. So all of our meeting minutes are now official and can be sent to the town clerk. All right. Our third item is public input. I know we have some people here visiting. I think they may be in new business as well, but we can entertain their discussion right now. So I think Mr. Sampson was the first to join. I don't know if you had something you wanted to address the commission about, Mr. Sampson?
Should we let Jeff Town speak for the Cub Pack?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is Jeff Town. We'd like to use the basketball court areas of Roy Memorial Park for the annual Pinewood Derby for the Cub Scouts in town on April 11th.
All right. So now, did we have a submission for that? I know we had seen something about it earlier. Do we have the actual form for it?
They did submit it, Andy.
They did?
Yep, and we submitted the form and the certificate of insurance.
Okay,
They were
and,
email on the 16th.
all right. I thought I saw it. There we go. All right. Yeah, with the rain date of April 18th, the following Sunday.
Yes.
And how many do you expect to see? 50 to 60 participants?
yes.
And
So it'd be like 25 kids with their parents or something like that?
Yeah, the kids will each have a parent with them, or some siblings, so it'll be like a 2-to-1 in some cases. But we'll be following the same rules that we did in February, so the maximum of 50 people at any one time. And we may break it up so some people come early and then they'll leave and another group will come later. But the Boy Scout rules right now are a maximum of 50 people at one event.
okay. And so, Steve, is this something that we would need to run by the emergency team, or?
I think we're in a situation this time where we don't have to. I mean, this is almost the same type of event that they ran a couple months ago, and the emergency management team was 100% behind it, the protocols they put forth. So as long as they're doing exactly what they did before, I don't see we're gonna have any issue whatsoever.
Okay. Is it something that we should, I mean, maybe bring it up with them just to be sure? We don't want to.
Definitely, I will bring it up tomorrow at 2 o'clock call.
Okay. All right, any commission members have any questions for Mr. Town?
I assume you'll just be creating a couple ramps and you won't be tacking anything into the basketball courts, it'll all be freestanding?
Yeah, we have a track, a pre-built track that we'll bring. We just need a very flat surface to lay it out on. We do need some electrical power. I don't know if there's any outlets on the outside of Town Hall. If not, we can bring a generator.
There's nothing outside of talent. We usually would run power from inside of talent. We could also talk to maybe somebody from softball about running power from that shed, which might be, I don't know if that's any closer to the courts.
I think there may be an outlet on the right front side of the facility of Town Hall.
Right.
Check it out.
Yeah, that's
The
on the,
distance.
it's on the opposite side of the wall, opposite side of the building.
And we do have softball on the phone with us this evening, so.
Yeah, no, Frank from LGSL, I know from the shed point of view, I don't think it's done yet. I believe it's still in the works, but that power is not in the shed yet. There might be something over by the snack shack, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that's what I meant by the shed, is the snack shack.
Yeah, so Frank, if you face the snack shack, I think on the back right, left corner, there's an outlet.
Yeah, I picturing it now, I believe you're right, Steve.
So what would be a shorter run, from Talent Hall or from the shed? I'm thinking they're both the same at this point.
I think the run from Town Hall is actually shorter,
Yeah.
but of course, that would require someone to open up Town Hall.
I think you use that one in the front. Yeah,
I thought there was an outlet out towards the right front.
There
I'm
is.
pretty sure I've seen it too.
Yeah, it's right.
It's a Saturday, right? I could zip down there and let them in. It's not that.
Sunday.
Or Sunday, yeah, I can zip over there and let somebody in, so.
So I guess, Jeff, my one concern with the basketball courts is, putting structures on it, which is fun. I mean, I assume they're not too heavy. We just wouldn't want them dragging things on there and damaging the court surface.
Now, we usually put it in the cafeteria on the gym floor at the schools. So that, yeah, I don't think there's any risk at all for the basketball courts outside.
Okay. But I mean, on a gym floor, you could slide it around and it really wouldn't do any damage, but on that paint does have some traction to it, so you can't, if you drag something across that, it would scuff it up pretty good, so.
Yeah, we wouldn't be doing that.
Okay.
It would be in a position.
Just for a second, the track itself is made of aluminum, and it's actually a very delicate track. So we carry that thing like we're handling eggshells.
And just so you know, the court is not completely level. It does pitch towards the pond. It's a slight pitch, but you can notice it there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you may get some fast results.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, I will make a motion that we allow the Boy Scout troops to use the basketball courts at Roy Memorial Park on Sunday, April 11th, with a rain date of April 18th for their Pinewood Derby.
I will second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Gannon and second by Commissioner Ruggles. Any further discussion?
It says you're gonna be, providing food and beverage. How are you handling trash for that?
Well, we always, whatever we bring in, we take out.
Thank you.
Yep. I assume that the protocol for the porta potty is the same as last time.
Yep.
Nothing's changed, yep.
So we need to get in touch with,
Yeah, we'd like me to
Mr. Burns and get the cleaner.
Yeah, you want me to have them drop off the cleaner for you again?
Yeah, we stopped by the highway department to pick it up last time. We can do that again.
Okay, I'll send them a note tomorrow letting them know that you guys will be swinging by. Do you know when you'll be swinging by?
Probably sometime on Friday. I guess that's when they would be there. So sometime on Friday. I don't have a particular time in mind.
All right, but you do have Kevin Brown's contact information?
Yeah, I've got his email somewhere. Yep.
All right, I'll shoot him a note and let him know about it.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll try to get down there before that date as well and blow off the court with my leaf blower, make sure there's no debris, make sure it's nice and clean for that. And it's something we typically do before this basketball season starts, so take advantage of the time.
Great, thank you.
Now, Jeff, would you be using both courts for the entire thing?
The track would fit on one court, but, you know, with the kids around, they'll probably be running around in that space.
Okay, I'm just saying, 'cause, you know, if it's a nice day, you'll probably get the kids wanting to go down there to play some basketball, so.
Yeah, if we had to, we could probably manage to work in just one of the courts.
Andy, I mean, if we're giving them permission, I don't see why we.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You just take up the two courts, like,
Yeah.
you want people to spread out and.
Right.
What is
That's
the
why we
time
can-
frame? Also, Jeff, if we can put that down, it would be helpful.
Yeah, so I think we'd like to start at around 9 a.m. to get things set up. And then the races, I think, will be between 11 and 2. Is that about right, Curtis?
Yeah, that's correct.
So we'll be cleaned up and out of there by 3.
So, I guess my question would be, maybe we can do something, or maybe the Boy Scouts could do something, and it wouldn't have to be a poster or some type of, something that could withstand the weather, but maybe put it on the fence down, or the guardrail down there, or the tree right entering the court. Sort of letting people know maybe a week or so ahead of time that you guys are gonna be holding that event. It would be sort of nice for people to know, but also, you know, kids, if they're planning on, you know, getting together and playing a game, they'll know that it's gonna be occupied. And then, you know, Jeff, what you can also do is if they show up and they're looking for a place to play, the high school does have an outdoor court as well.
Okay.
Can I recommend that we use the little kiosk right by the gate? Start utilizing that for our notices.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I think we need to I think the cork on that needs to be replaced with something, but. All right, so any other discussion on the motion?
Nope.
All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mr. Burns,
Aye.
Mr. Gannon,
Aye.
Mr. Weber,
Aye.
Mr. Ames,
Aye.
Mr. Bosky,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so that carries 7-0-0. All right, so Mr. Khan, you are all set, and just so you know, I mean, if Steve does bring it up tomorrow and they do have concerns with the emergency medicine team, we might be contacting you if, you know, we have to change things, but like Steve said, I really don't suspect that would be the case.
Okay, very good.
Jeff, if you want to stay on, I know you would express interest on joining the board as well. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I can hang out.
Great.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Take care.
Thanks.
All right, so any other public input?
This is where I jump in for the LGSL piece.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. My name is Craig Pennis. I'm the LGSL president right now. I wrote to the board about a week ago in regards to our upcoming season. Unfortunately, this is our first year without Litchfield Blast, which is our kind of our competitive all-star team that we kind of do after our rec season. With that being said, a lot of the other towns and other softball programs have gotten wind of this, and they turn into sharks with red water. So they have been pretty much hitting me up every which way to seal their pond. And I've been in this role for maybe 2 years, vice president for 1, and I've never, this has never really happened where we didn't have Litchfield Blast before. So I wanted to kind of come to the board tonight and just kind of, I need to get feedback on actually the true process of the field usage. And if this is something that is even entertained at this level, because I'm a little bit of a novice in regards to it, because usually it was always just rec, blast, end the season, fall ball, and next year. So that's kind of why I'm here tonight, to kind of see, kind of gauge where I should, how this all works. I guess is probably the best place for me to start.
all right, so I guess my question, Craig, is this a Litchfield Blast decision or or is this the Babe Ruth, is this a league?
No, this was a combination of things. Unfortunately, we tried. I believe, in my opinion, we were probably on borrowed time last year. A combination. We tried last year to kind of merge with 12U. I don't think that went too good with Hudson when we tried to merge with them. I think a combination of some lack of talent looking elsewhere for the bigger, better program. And then I can speak to my team that I had last year at the 10U level. Was at that level, you need people, young ladies, to pitch, and we unfortunately didn't have that coming into this year. So those girls had to look elsewhere for a program if they wanted to continue to play. And my goal this year from an LGSL standpoint and a Blast standpoint is to kind of build up from the 8U and kind of bring this train back around. But it's going to take a little time to do that and get the buy-in from parents, coaches, and the kids. So to answer your question, it's probably a Litchfield Blast decision.
Okay. So a 10, 12, 13-year-old girl here in town that wants to play competitive softball, what are her options?
Their options at this point, they've probably already made their decision. They've probably already moved on to somewhere else because they usually will have those tryouts at the end of July last summer. So, for example, we had 4 girls in our 12U program that went elsewhere already in July, leaving us with maybe a handful of girls that could play, but then we were like, listen, we have no place really. We have 5 girls, 6 girls. We can't field a team with this. So then they look elsewhere as well. It's unfortunate, and it just, we've tried to keep it together as long as we could. It's just been a kind of a mixed bag of everything, unfortunately.
So the loss of the Blast was not strictly COVID related, but it definitely had an impact.
It had an impact, but if I could speak frankly, I think some folks think their kids are better off in another program. That they get the full year-round, softball coaching, and they get the higher level of play. And then I think also too, from the younger group, a lot of folks didn't want to do the full summers, and they didn't want to do the full commitment like they did years past. It's a hard thing to get people to do that snack shack during a tournament, and it definitely it's like pulling teeth a lot of the times. At least last year. It was, and COVID did have an impact. We played what we could. We did what we could. It just came down to talent, lack of pitching for my team, and, for 12U, just a combination of girls going elsewhere, looking for the bigger, better thing.
Yeah, and then COVID was the nail in the coffin.
So, I mean, from
So-
LGS, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just curious from a field usage standpoint. I mean, how often was blast practicing every day? Was that, or was
No,
it just games on the weekends or tournaments or?
so, for a regular year, if you will, not last year, but a regular year, we would have, I would say probably 2 to 3 practices throughout the 7 days. So we'd probably do it Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And then we would have our tournaments, we would have our tournaments we'd hold at Dara during July. We would have the district tournament held by the Babe Ruth, even though they did eliminate that last year before COVID hit. So we did lose that tournament because Babe Ruth was diminishing as well from this whole process. So we would probably use the field from rec on, from April 1st through end of May for rec, and then once May kind of ended, we would go right into blast from June 1st all the way through to probably the end of July. And it wouldn't be every day. It would be, like I said, 2 to 3 times a week for practice. Probably anywhere, 6 o'clock to 7:30 or 5 to 8, somewhere in that time frame. And then Sundays and Saturdays would we have some games there. Not all the time, but some games there.
And as far as expressed interest, like, is this other leagues or other towns or are these some of the girls from Litchfield on these other teams that they're thinking?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, the Fusion, the team that kind of, I forwarded the email along, I know it's not the proper protocol to get it to you in your hands, but they were looking at, they always say, hey, we have Litchfield girls here, we have girls that came through the program, they're 18U now, so they have obviously been playing in the high school and middle schools and stuff, and after 12U blast ends, usually they go on elsewhere to another program anyway. And then the other team I know looking is the team that I kind of had last year, the girls that couldn't play that have moved up to a higher level to play with another team. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I can't believe it's actually happening, but this is kind of the hands we've been dealt from a softball side.
So I guess what are you looking for us to, what?
So what's the procedure here for how it works? So obviously Londonderry is a big program. They obviously knew about Blast being gone. They want to use the fields on 3 different weekends. They would like to request the field use for those weekends. So obviously, I believe, and correct me where I'm wrong here, but I believe the process is they would email the rec commission. The rec commission would then decide internally if there's anything on the schedule, and then kind of reach out to me or the LGSL side and say, hey, is there any conflicts here? And then I guess that's kind of where I get fuzzy on how that goes from there. I mean, do you folks look at it from, okay, there's no blast, so the field's wide open. I guess I need to understand, or like to understand, how this kind of goes from that point on.
Well, I mean, basically, looking back at how it's worked over the years, it would go to a discussion with us, and it would be a case-by-case basis. It wouldn't just be a carte blanche. But, I know that we've had programs in the past that are outside, basically we've not really entertained any outside groups simply because we don't want to detract from the blast. We want the in-town groups to really be promoted. And, if we let, the New Hampshire Hurricanes come in and start running programs, our fear was now more and more girls are going to leave the blast program and go to the Hurricanes.
That makes sense.
This year, we would probably have the conversation saying, well, this is the only opportunity for these girls. And, I'll tell you, as a parent of a daughter that played, through, 18U, it was very, very frustrating as a parent. We had one team that had 11 girls and 9 of them were from Litchfield. But it was an AAU program, and we practiced down at Nashua North High School, and we all drove by the empty fields at Dara, looking over going, hey, this, it kind of would have been nice to be able to practice here. We'd be done. But, now especially, if you got all these girls that are going to different towns, and again, we have the issue with the for-profit, and most of these places are for-profit. We don't, it's something that I think, need to look at as a group, and, we really haven't had a hard and fast rule. And maybe, Steve, this is something that we can talk to Troy and maybe even get legal counsel in, and just, we need to come up with a policy as to how we're gonna handle it, because, if we wanna rent out a facility that's not being used, but we don't wanna be running, having people run a business on our property.
Greg, what's the nature of what they're looking to use the fields for? Is this just a random game here and there? Are they looking to host big tournaments, or they just want to practice?
Well, for Londonderry, Chris, Londonderry Fusion would have their 18U girls, so they would like to have their overflow from their fields over in Laffa, over in Londonderry, to kind of come through and use our fields during those weekends for two games to happen on the two 12U and 10U fields. So you're talking at least 4 teams from Thursday through Sunday, I think is how their email, when I read it. So it would be a full, kind of like a tournament for us. It would be a tournament.
So where would the other teams be coming from?
And that's no guarantee either that the teams that would be playing would be the Londonderry team that have the Litchfield girls on. It could be teams from anywhere, because it could be a state tournament, it could be a regional tournament. I'm not officially truly know what the tournament is at this last time.
Yeah, the request you forwarded basically said it's 3 weekends and it's tournaments on those 3 weekends. That's basically what it was. As Andy referred to, like, this is something this is one of those things where we really don't have a policy on. We've pretty much turned away anyone coming from the outside in the past saying, we want to use the fields, we want to do this, because again, we're trying to make a concerted effort for in-town usage. Now, mind you, again, as you said, there's no more blast. What sort of a policy should we have going forward? That's not something we're gonna probably figure out tonight, but we're gonna have to come up with something. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Steve and I talked, and I know we're trying to make sure we have an ironclad schedule for rec, for at least LGSL, to say, okay, from April 1st through June 25th, we're gonna be here on these days here, and this is our practice schedule, here's our games. Because I do definitely want to make sure we have a calendar in place for the rec commission to at least use, to where, you guys can make decisions if need be outside of LGSL.
Right. And the other thing is, what I'm going to say about this, and this is more for a general thing, is that while you can point people in the right direction, the request should be coming, like any request from an outside organization should be coming to us from them. And then we may ask you, is this conflict or whatever, but the answer is coming from us to them. Honestly, you shouldn't be the middleman. You shouldn't have to be the middleman. You shouldn't be put in the position to have to, juggle these things. That's our responsibility, since, we're the ones giving permission to use the field.
Absolutely, and I agree with you 100%. I think it's just because this person knows me, who knows him, who knows them, and that's where it starts.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is eventually, when there's a process and everything, like they'll always probably come to you first, because you're the contact for softball that everyone in the state, everyone sees you, so you can forward stuff along and say, you could CC their request to us with them on it and be like, introducing blah, blah, blah. Yep. What I'm saying is that the burden should not be on you for any of this. That's what it really should come down to. The burden's on us. Like, it's our decision. We shouldn't have people being mad, like outside organizations holding against Litchfield softball because, the fields aren't being used. It's a rec commission decision. Therefore, if anyone's going to be, if they're going to put a blame, if we deny their request or we approve their request, and whatever happens, it should come back to us. Because even then, like, you don't want to be, if they come in, if we grant access to them to use the fields, and then something happens, we as a commission don't want you guys bearing responsibility for, because you said, oh yeah, you can use it. It's not, that's not your responsibility either. So really it's a matter of, liability as well as responsibility. And you shouldn't be burdened with that.
Just thinking another standpoint, if Blast is not going to be using the field, I know unused fields, such as the baseball fields this year, because we didn't use them last year, get all grown in and deteriorate extremely quickly. So if they're not going to be used, I do think we need to look at other avenues to make sure that they do get used. So, they'll keep up properly.
So if the commission would like, I can reach out to legal counsel to see if they in the past have drafted a policy or procedure for another community.
Okay.
Starting point.
And I mean, Andy, I know your point on that, but I mean, we could easily, look at internal things and talk to CHS and Litchfield Middle School and say, hey, maybe they could run a camp, and maybe they could do that, I think timing wise, with what happened with the field last year, this might not be a real bad thing, because it kind of gives us a summer season, especially if we run a little dry, that we don't, we can really let that field get established and not have a lot of high traffic usage on it this summer without any big tournaments happening on it. I think it would help the field immensely for the long term.
Yeah, but Andy, what this begs the question of is a larger discussion of, we're gonna get more of these requests.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we need to set up a real policy in terms of, are we going to allow it? Are we not going to allow it? What's it gonna require if we do allow it? Are we charging a fee? Because something, it's like, as you read the request, it's like, we will provide, opportunities for Litchfield fundraising. We'll, we've invested back into this and this for the Londonderry fields. The problem is that if they're not our program. So they can't assume, and we can't assume they're gonna be back next year. And we're not gonna be here, and the only benefit we're getting is, Litchfield softball could run the concession stand. We have to come up, this is a fee, we'd have to come up with some sort of fee schedule, or whatever it is, and if that means we're gonna just charge a flat fee, and and they have to take care of the lining and the liming and all that, but they run their own concession stands and do whatever they want, then that's fine, but we can't be sitting here oh, we're gonna wait for you to come back for 3 years before you invest back in, or the only benefit back to the fields are a fundraising thing. No, we don't, honestly, we shouldn't want to have to provide work at these places if we don't want to, while another organization is running it. So, I mean, there are a lot bigger issues to talk about than just, is it good for the field now or not good for the field now? There's a baseline structure we have to really put together before we can say, yeah, we're gonna have other organizations from out of town that are for profit come in and use it.
Right. Well, all I'm saying is I think we sort of have the grace period of this year saying, even if we want to do it, I think it's a good year to sort of put it off and maybe get that policy in place. I know maybe we can contact, I'm trying to think, I think it's in Chelmsford. There's a field across from the fire station down there that they have the 3 softball fields that it seems like they're running tournaments every week. And I know that they're renting it out to all the different AAU programs to run it, and maybe get some feedback from them as to how they structure it, how they work it. Because I mean, when you come down to it, you think about it, the fields are ours, but they're going to go into that case and grab the bases. Well, those don't belong to us; those belong to Litchfield girls softball. So are they going to bring their own bases, or are they going to use Litchfield girls softball's equipment? So there's a lot of things that I think we'd have to iron out before we could really come up with a policy on that.
Yeah, a fee structure would definitely be required, but I also think that if our fields are not being utilized or underutilized, why not profit from it a little bit? We could offset some of the costs for the town. Maybe eventually put lights in, or maybe we could replace all the sprinkler from some of the funds coming in. I know we don't want to be a per profit and really be micromanaged, but if in situations like this where we know the glass is not going to come back, maybe it'll grant us an opportunity for other towns to utilize the fields and pay into the rec budget to help offset some of the other costs.
Yep.
And
I agree.
And I don't wanna say that Blast is gone forever, I don't wanna say that, I just wanna.
I agree, yeah.
You know, if we can get through this year and we can really put an effort into our 8U program and maybe try our 10U next year, then we're back into the mix again. So hopefully it's just that, but I don't wanna give any false hope or any kind of, you know, I want it to come back, but I don't, we'll have to see how the year goes. But I know this is like, I appreciate all the impact, all the, everything here with with everything, and I agree with everything you're saying. For these people that are reaching out to me, do I just send them over to the rc@litchfield.org?
Yeah, just have,
that process, okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it, and I do appreciate everyone's time. I know this is a bigger discussion. If you need my involvement at all, or anything like that, or I'd be more than happy to help in that discussion, or offline, whatever, how you guys handle it, so.
We have open seats on the rec.
We're looking for people.
I know, I appreciate that. I'm looking for people on LGSL.
Hey, you already have me.
But, I appreciate the time. I don't know if there's anything else for me to say. I appreciate you all the time, and you know, like I said, I'll pass this along, everything, and if there's anything we can do in the meantime, let me know.
All right, great. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks,
Thanks, Doc. Take care.
All right, I don't think we have any other, so, we kind of did a facility and field, well, actually, no more public input. So we can close public input. Unless Jeff wanted to say something else.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. And then our next item is facility and field requests. I know we just did the one for Boy Scouts. I don't think I saw any other requests. It's, no, we had that request was for, sophomore project.
Yeah, so, if you're okay, I'll reach out to the young gentleman and see if maybe we can get him down there and help clean up and do a little work around the facility. I don't know how much time he is required for his sophomore project, but I know we have certainly a lot of.
So for a sophomore project, he needs 30 hours. So, you know what I mean? If we have 30 hours worth of work, then great, or, you know what I mean, even, no, you know, he can use other time, he can book other time, but he's gonna legitimately need about 25 hours, I think.
Yeah, I would say, you know, definitely the tennis courts, cleaning up the tennis court area, maybe taking a look at those benches, see what, you know, see if they need to be fixed up, painted, you know, and then around Dara, there's gonna be a ton of things that he can do. You know, just picking things up, and if he wants to organize, you know, we do have the wood. I don't know if, unless it's been used around Sawmill, we could possibly try and get the railing up on the other side for the, you know, to keep cars out of the playground.
I mean, I'm sure the river access always needs some cleanup too, right?
Yeah.
I know over at Corning, we could have some work done on the dugout benches also.
There's probably some work down at Sawmill too, spreading some more rock down by the picnic benches, repairing some of the benches.
We gotta buy the rock first. Soccer, that is.
Yeah.
All right, so Steve, thank you for handling that. All right, so new business, recruitment of new members. So as you guys all saw the email, Chris and Andy are now full-time. So everybody here is a full member of the commission. We have no alternates on the board right now, or on the commission at this point. So we have 3 open alternate positions.
Wouldn't it be 4? Or does Steve count as an alternate or a member? I thought it was a board of 10, 6 and 4. But I don't know how to select.
I'm considered a member.
Yeah, it's 6 and 4, I believe.
Okay, so we're looking for 4. So again, I think it would be really important, and I haven't done it yet. I don't know if anybody had reached out to basketball. And we've got Jeff here, who we can maybe twist his arm. We can hold over we might reconsider the approval of the power derby.
I did reach out to basketball. I sent a couple emails through their website and I didn't get any response back for contact info. So I don't know if anybody has any other way to get to them. Like,
Who's the league president now?
I'll look.
I mean, I'm guessing you could probably just send it.
Michael Harney.
And who is the vice president?
Tom Gruel?
Okay, Tom. I know Tom. I'll reach out to Tom
Okay.
and see if they can get somebody that's interested. Because it really does make it much easier if you have somebody from each board represented here, because that, just really cleans up the communication.
I mean, it might not hurt. It might not hurt, Andy, since you sent around that email to all the organizations, to just send it again and say, we have 4 alternate seats open. We're looking for, members. Could you, announce it to your boards, to your leagues, and go from there.
Yeah.
Another up-and-coming one that's taken a lot of the kids is lacrosse, so it might be good to reach out to lacrosse too.
I did, and I've actually heard back from them. So, but they didn't have any interest. They didn't say they had any interest. I'm not saying that they don't. They didn't mention it.
Well, I'm looking at the board of directors, and I know 3 of them very well, so let me see if I can get one of them to come along.
All right. So Jeff, not to put you on the spot, so what are your thoughts of joining the commission? I heard rumors.
Yeah. Well, I've been in town for a long time, been working with the Scouts for about 30 years now, between the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. We haven't used the town, parks and things very much in connection with scouting, but I think maybe we should. Last significant thing that we had before this February was a weekend camp out up at Moores Falls, and that was probably 20 years ago. Oddly enough, we just don't think about it that often. Going through the process of getting it set up and getting approval for it. I think we ought to. And having a connection between the Scouts and the Rec Commission, I think makes sense. I expect to be around for a while, except I'm traveling, so I would be willing to serve on the Rec Commission and to provide that connection and understand the other youth programs going on in town as well.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us or about the?
No, I guess I just have to, see how it works beyond the limited experience I've had in the last couple of months. It sounds like the commission is 10 voting members and then 4 alternates who would attend the meetings and have a vote if the other 10 members are not all there. Is that the way it works?
6 members, 4 alternates for a seat of 10.
I see, okay.
Yeah. We meet every other Tuesday for about an hour and a half, depending on what's going on. I honestly think you'd be a good fit. I think you'd be a great exposure and would allow us to get some of the Scouts in here and maybe give us a hand.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, the Scouts all need hours in service projects for their various ranks. And we've had, I don't know, there's probably at least a dozen or so more Eagle Scout projects at different places in town.
Yeah.
I expect we'll have some more of those. on the meeting schedule, is it like a first and third Tuesday, or just every other Tuesday, or?
Second and fourth Tuesdays.
Second and fourth, okay. Yeah, that could be, I work on the Eagle Scout board for our district, and we meet the second Tuesday and the fourth Wednesday. So the second Tuesday of every month, I've got a scout meeting scheduled.
Okay.
As an alternate, I could be there for half of the meetings.
Well, in the summertime, Andy, though, don't we go down to one meeting, and is that the fourth or is that the second?
It could be either. We could, yeah. But that's usually just 2 months out of the year. But I mean, I don't think it would preclude you from joining, because I think you'd be a valuable member. You know, especially as an alternate, you would, you know, as long as we know you're not going to be attending a meeting, and if you have input for that meeting, you can get it to us ahead of time. And the nice thing now is our meetings are recorded, so it's not like you would miss out. You can actually catch up on what was being discussed, and a lot more than just reading minutes and not knowing how the discussion went. So,
and you know, we have a large demand right now. I mean, there's so many people knocking down the door to be alternate.
That's right. So yeah, so think about it. If you are interested, you just have to go to town hall and get the volunteer form, fill that out, and I would suggest, you know, sitting in on a meeting or so, making sure you feel comfortable with it, and again, once you want to go forward with it, fill that form out. We can then send you to the Board of Selectmen for appointment with our recommendation, and then you'd be able to join at that point.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
So the other thing is, and you know, if we can reach out to people, you know, just calling the roll call vote. We need some females represented, I think. I think, not that, you know, it really, I think it really does need to, I know we have people that are representing Litchfield girls softball but I think, you know, Colleen was always able to give us a real good perspective on some things. And I just think it's, you know, it's a good, I don't want to say good optic, but you know, it would be important, I think. So, you know, it would be good to have representation from some females as well. So, all right. Any other thoughts on the recruitment of new members? All right, next is on new business is the field calendars. So Andy, if you want to take it from there, like the map you did.
Yeah, I can just take you through. I think you all saw those today, right?
Yeah.
Pull up here.
The only thing is, don't forget, Brickyard is not Brickyard. It's Scott Innisfield.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen. I basically did this for all the fields. And I was thinking it'd be nice if we could have some sort of way to, you know, when you go online to our website, you know, you could submit an online request that came directly to our email. And it would say, I want RM Field 1 or RM Field 2. And then we could actually block it off on our calendar. That way somebody could look and say, oh, well, Royal Memorial 3 is open, or the you know, the 2 tennis or the basketball courts are open, or whatever. And I went through and I did this for each of the fields.
Yeah, I mean, that would be good too, just for, if somebody's looking to go play basketball, even if it's not a group, if they look and see, Jason's got the basketball league going there on a Tuesday night using both courts, they'll be able to see that and not bother, gathering everybody up and going down to play some basketball.
Right, yeah. I don't know, I was just trying to think through it. I know Steve was gonna look into, getting some calendars together and possibly, figuring out if we could do some sort of form, that would auto-populate, or maybe it won't auto-populate. I can't imagine it'd be that big of a deal to go in and pop, an event in the actual calendar. I was able to get from, Litchfield Baseball and Litchfield Lacrosse. They both sent me their schedules for the year, practice schedules, and so we could go ahead and fill all of those in pretty easily. I just think it would give us a real good idea. We could block it off the weekend of the 5K for the police department.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, if we know from Ryan, if there's gonna be some type of, if we need a pesticide treatment or something, we can block off the field saying, hey, April 17th, we don't want anybody on the fields, and you just gotta block it off.
Replacing heads or whatever, maintenance day, whatever it is.
I think to give us so much more visibility to our resources. Right now, I mean, we really don't know who's gonna be on our fields doing what at any one time.
Now, way back when I was playing around with the idea of, and we sort of settled just on the talent hall calendar, which is nice, because it's, it's so easy just to say, I mean, you're either in there or you're not. Multiple calendars starts getting a little messy, and that's why I thought of the spreadsheet idea. I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at it. It wouldn't give us enough room to really write down all the details of what's happening, but at least people could see what's blocked off. I'll share it with you guys.
Well, a little background, we're using WordPress, and WordPress allows you to embed almost anything. So we could actually have multiple calendars set as a thumbnail, and you could click on it and see it expand to see what's going on.
Right, but if we can do something like this, basically I set it up so that April, and people, hopefully with WordPress, it'll, people can scroll and it will stay where they need to be, but you can sort of see each field and see, at a glance, you can see everything in town, for Sunday, and see what's available, what's not available. And I just sort of played around with some ideas of putting admin for maintenance so that, they'll know that, hey, if I request a week in advance, if somebody needs to do something Tuesday morning, as long as we know in advance. And then, maybe something, sometimes somebody will contact us and we haven't had a chance to put a vote in on it yet, but at least we can sort of pencil it in or just put a pending, just so people know, hey, there's somebody looking to use all 3 softball fields on Monday night, and you can put it as pending. But I just thought it would be a one idea. It's having multiple. I mean, if you think about how many calendars we'd have to have, and people would have to click from one to the next to the next, being able to have
That's what I'm
this.
trying to figure out. How many would there be? 18? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, no, I think you would have one for each facility.
Yeah,
Right.
so that would be 2, 4, 6.
And then the thing with the softball fields is, whenever we're doing something like this, if we use this system or not, if somebody is using the softball field, Royal Memorial Field 3, these need to be blocked off because you can't use the soccer field if somebody's playing softball there.
Correct.
Kind of like, but you can use all 3 softball fields individually. And we can do something like I block this off and you just put a little note so it pops up and people can see what it actually is. But it's just, that's kind of what I envisioned. I don't know if there's, and I'm sure there's a league scheduling software out there. I know basketball if you look on the basketball site, and the Manchester Suburban League organizes, and it was pretty neat. They had all the gyms from all the towns, and you could actually see which gyms were open at which times. It was kind
Who's
of
that,
neat.
Andy? Manchester?
Manchester Suburban League, MSBL. And I mean, if you go to the Litchfield basketball site, I think they still have that on there. You can actually see it. It'll show Talent Hall, LMS, and it'll say available because they don't have anything on their schedule right now. But
So from a baseball standpoint, we do the same thing with Hudson. So within ours, you have to actually identify a resource, and we put all the fields into it. Then we actually populate a spreadsheet and we put it into the sports play sign up that we use, and it populates it. So we can actually see each field and what's being used based on our schedule. Now, we don't know the other usage of the field if it's something outside of our program, but the way we create it, we can see everything in Hudson, Pelham, and in Litchfield.
I mean, that might be something to look into, just because if we do it, if we're doing everything manually and we have it in 2 or 3 different places and we update it in 1 or 2 and not the third, then it's gonna get messy. It's gotta be something that we have to keep up and be on top of, because once it starts becoming relevant, then it becomes useless. Nobody will pay attention to it,
Yeah, you'd need to dedicate a calendar czar.
Yeah.
Somebody that's all they take care of it.
Well, obvious this year has been a bit different, but I think going forward, once we establish a routine, I think it would be fairly easy. And then this kind of works to what we were talking about earlier. If our fields aren't going to be used, is it possible that we maybe open them up to an outside company or a third party, another town to come in and maybe collect some funds to put it into our pockets?
Now, I know from a baseball and softball standpoint, I can put the calendar into iCal, and I think Google actually will upload that. So that'd be that'd be a quick way of at least populating the resources for softball and baseball. I don't know what platform Lacrosse is using, basketball or anything like that, but because we all use the sports sign up, you can output as an iCal.
But I think, like, Lacrosse sent me their schedule. I think I could literally input it into a calendar in 10 minutes, just using repeating and whatever. I mean, it wouldn't be a huge exercise to do.
We're supposed to get the league schedules in. So you see, when we get the league schedules in, that's going to be the lion's share of the work, and then it's just going to be individual requests that are more one-offs that we can just put in after our meeting. So.
Yep. And if we can get in a format that can be imported, it's going to make it a whole lot easier.
Right, but the big thing would be updating. So baseball has a game Tuesday night, it rains Tuesday night, they move it to Wednesday, they move it, how does that get communicated? How does that get changed on our calendar? Because what happens is once one thing moves, it causes, it's a domino effect.
I don't think it's going to be perfect out of the gate, but it's at least going to get us 80-90% of the way there.
Yeah.
But I think in the terms of baseball, I mean, Steve, you pretty much have it, blocked off every night during the week during baseball season, right?
Majority, yeah. There's some nights that are open in case it's rain out, so we gotta keep the nights open so people can get in. Or if somebody else, practice gets rained out, they can do it. But for the most part, we're good now because every division has its own field.
Right.
There's probably gonna be more availability than when we had several divisions utilizing the same field.
Right.
But are we really going, and I'm asking this in general, are we really going to get down to the point where we're gonna say, okay, if we're gonna say, okay, so, in general, we practice Monday through Friday between 6 and 8, are we gonna get down to the point of saying, well, this week, there's no practice
on Wednesday from 6 to 7, therefore it's gonna have to be open on the field schedule. Like, there's a point of diminishing returns at some point. You know what I mean? Like, here's the general schedule, bang. Yeah, I mean, we don't wanna have a full-time person be like, okay, I gotta sit here and change, like, schedules on 5 fields hourly because someone decided to not have a practice or move a practice or whatever. Usually these leagues will block out certain blocks of time.
Right. I mean, the only thing that we do that with is like talent, just because those times are you know, especially in the winter when there's a high demand, you know, you get a 2-hour open window. You want people to know there's a 2-hour open window.
Right.
You know, where we have field space. I mean, how many people are demanding for the baseball fields? I mean, really, other than baseball teams, you know, there's
Nobody.
Nobody, I mean, last year, due to the issue we had over at Darrow, we, you know, had them all go over to the baseball field, softball went to baseball, so they could keep playing.
yeah.
But other than that, normally we don't have other people trying to jump at it.
So who would like to be our calendar czar?
Well, I don't.
Somebody else open their mouth?
Well, Steve, I'll help you out with it, whatever I can do. I don't mind. I just don't know how to use the WordPress stuff at all. I'll be completely honest. So, I mean.
So
We'll get you there.
you guys want to work together and maybe get something, you know, at least a working copy of it to review at the next meeting and sort of get some feedback on it before we go live with it?
Yeah. And I think, you know, when we post the calendars or whatever we end up doing, we post those pictures so people know exactly what fields they're looking
Yeah.
at.
No, that's definitely it. Yep. Yep. All right. We'll move things along here. Rec League contact info, Andy. You know,
No, I reached out to everybody. There were a few groups I didn't hear back from. One was soccer, Mike. I don't know. I'm thinking nobody got that email.
Oh, no, they got the email.
Oh, okay.
I'm on that distribution group still from when I was president, and that email it went out. It got to people. So
Okay.
I'm not sure why they're not responding.
That's okay. I kind of assumed that somebody didn't get it. So, I heard back from just about everybody else. There was a couple of groups like the Lions Club I didn't hear back from, but like, you know, I didn't really expect to, you know, unless they have something going on, but, yeah, so the list has been updated. Christmas in Litchfield, Peter, I don't have any contact for them either. That was the only other one I'm missing.
Andy, I
can
can
do that.
different contacts for that if you want.
Okay, great. And then, yeah, pretty much every other group I heard from. So I have, it's all updated. So if anybody needs to get a hold of anybody, all of the talent passcodes are the current ones that are listed on your sheet, Andy. I updated all those.
okay, awesome.
Including, you know, fire and, you know, police, everything. So everything's up to date. And I'm going to try to keep on top of that. I'm the contact czar.
Okay. All right. Next item is return to in-person meetings. As you heard when we were discussing at the beginning, that we can get into the town hall. It does have a capacity of 10, which we would fit well under. Obviously, if we had outside visitors for public input, they would need to call in. We have specific people that we need to come in and address the commission. I'm sure we could work through that as far as and still maintain under the capacity. So I don't know how you guys feel. If you want to try and move to in-person meetings soon, what are your thoughts?
Presently, this is the only board that is not meeting in person that I know of.
We're the only tech-savvy board in the town, you say?
That's exactly what it is. And everyone sitting here knows how to use technology, unlike some other ones.
I really don't mind either way.
Yeah, I'm fine either way.
So,
Yeah. Whatever we want to do is good.
I mean, so Steve, I know that this was kind of an exception with COVID and the state and RSAs. But is there going to be a point where the RSAs are going to require us to meet in person and no longer meet virtually?
I'm sure that will happen at one point. You know, they'll get back to that. So right now, boards can meet, no public can come in right now. All public has to be virtual. But boards and commissions are allowed to do it. We only have town hall open for town business. So all of the boards, commissions, committees are all considered town business.
So I guess I would ask everybody here, do we see a benefit from meeting in person?
Not really.
I mean, I think we've been just as productive on Zoom or, you know,
Yeah.
in Cisco, so,
Yeah, don't say the Zoom word.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't shut us down.
Yeah, I think,
I feel like we've been fairly productive still. I mean, we don't really have that many
Yeah.
hot
I mean,
issues that we can sit face to face.
yeah, I would feel safe meeting with you all, but I don't have, really compelling reason to do so necessarily, I guess, is what I.
You just don't like us that much. I get it, Peter.
I'm gonna say while we're yeah, after the meeting, I'll tell you what I really think of you, Mike.
Is that the COVID parody?
All right, so I guess we'll, as a group, we'll probably just decide, we'll maybe revisit this in a month or so, about possible, see what we want to do with in-person meetings, but, I mean, the nice thing about this is people are traveling and can join the meeting, so when we are allowed to travel and restrictions are lifting, especially over the summer, we always had problems, I think it makes it a lot easier, having this avenue. All right, playground maintenance, next item. I know we got the email from Rachel. So I think, the big thing is we really do need to get that mulch going and, at least get it ordered and have a plan for spreading that.
I gotta go to Tim's this week, so I will stop in. I'll get a price from him. Do we have to get 3?
Depends, how much do you think we're talking about?
I mean, I think we were only talking like 30 yards. I don't know.
Oh, we're talking a lot more than 30 yards, right? Because we have to,
We put 100 in there like 2 years ago.
right, but we're gonna need some now for the Justin Bissett fields as well, for that playground.
That's newly done. That's all. It looks brand new out there right now still.
Right, but I'm sure we're gonna need to add some, because that stuff is really light when you first put it down. It'll pack down pretty quick. We wanna have some on hand, because that's probably gonna sink about 6 inches in the first month or so of use. So, I mean, what is that? What's the area there? Is it 20 by 20?
What, the Justin Bissett? Yeah, it's like 20 by 30, 20 by 20, something like that.
So you got,
What's the requirement before you have to go out to bid?
I'm looking it up right now.
What's the 3?
Anything over between 5 and 11,999 informal written proposals from 3 different sources must be solicited.
yeah, we're not gonna be anywhere close to that.
So if it's under $5,000, it just goes to the department head and the town administrator.
But I mean, I think we would be smart to reach out to 3 or 4 places and get pricing, just to, see what we can get. Obviously, Tim is the preferred vendor, being right here in town, but.
Yeah, you
4 inches of that cushion for Justin Bissett on I figure a 30 by 20 would be just about 6 yards.
Okay.
And then, say 25 to 30 at, the other place at Dara.
So we're probably talking about $1,000, $1,200. Because I know we got a real good deal last time. We're not going to get anywhere close to that, because we got a truckload last time.
Yeah, you're talking like $1,000 to $1,500. I'm estimating. That's based on what prices used to be.
Right. I would say, yeah,
I'll get some firm prices this week.
okay. And then we can, if we can vote on it at the next meeting, we can get it ordered and, get that out before the end of April, which would be nice.
And the other thing, I think you mentioned the safety arm for that tall slide or something like that.
The slider, the thing on the wheels.
Slider.
Yeah. I think the slider needs to go.
Yeah, that was $800 just to replace the mechanism. That was last year's quote.
And I don't think, I mean, at work when my kids were little, I don't think I ever saw a kid on there that rode it more than once and didn't say, it's like, this thing stinks. Like, well, you go like 8 feet and it's like, come on. You know, maybe we can utilize those posts for something else. Maybe put like another set of monkey bars or something where kids can actually use it. All right, and now food truck vendors. I don't know who wanted this on the agenda.
So it's from one of the emails we received regarding a vendor that's looking to, you know, potentially coordinate with us. It's just kind of acting as a courtesy, like, can he come down, you know, ahead of events? He didn't want to compete with any of the league sales and that kind of thing. So I just want to raise it as far as how we want to approach that. If it's, you know, public parking lot, are they free to come, or do they need to get something first? Because I don't recall approving
Local.
before.
And I believe the Allen family, right, the local Wagon Wheels Donuts, is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a Litchfield family, small, very small business, I guess you could call it. And very good donuts.
I mean, I guess, you know, I think what Mike said earlier, I think, you know, that's something that we should probably just look at in general and, you know, have some type of policy, because it would depend, you know, if it's the Litchfield Girls Blast, you know, I know they're not running it, but it was the Litchfield Girls Blast tournament, and they're trying to sell concessions, and that's how they're raising money for their scholarship fund, and all of a sudden 3 or 4 food trucks pull up and underbid them on stuff. You know, it's.
Yeah, I mean, their email did say that they don't sell any items that would directly compete with the concession stands there. But, I mean, I can't help but think that if there's hot donuts versus a hot dog or something, you know, people tend to go to that.
Direct compete, yeah, not the exact same item, but food is food.
They take the same money. They take money.
It's food, therefore someone's gonna get a different type of food than they get if they weren't there.
But I'll do the other part of it. A Saturday morning down at Sawmill for soccer, there's nothing being sold.
Yeah.
People would kill for coffee and donuts.
I agree with that. I mean, honestly, like soccer and lacrosse, one year tried it, but I don't think they're doing it again. I can ask. Soccer doesn't do anything. So, you know, I mean, go show up at Sawmill, sure. I don't think lacrosse is planning on doing anything, so they could, like, Sawmill could be wide open. Of course, my only concern with Sawmill is you gotta park somewhere that you're not gonna be in someone's way.
Now, Steve, does somebody, I mean, in town though, they need a vendor's license to be operating in town in general, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, that would kind of, I mean, if an ice cream truck who got a vendor's license to go up and down the streets of Litchfield could pull into the Talent Hall, you know, or Dara parking lot, and we really couldn't say boo about it because they have a permit to sell on town property.
Correct. So, yep.
I mean, I would just say for now, you know, make sure that they get a vendor from the town, you know, vendor's license from the town, and, you know, ask them if there is a concession stand open at one of these places, please don't come. You know, if there's no concession stand, fair game.
What is the concession stand typically, what is their split, I guess you could say? Can we ask them that if they decide to come, they do pull business away, that they should share the profit, just as the concession stand does?
The concession stand doesn't share profits with us.
No, I know, not with us, but with the Blast or whoever.
Well, it's,
softball.
they run they run the concession stands themselves, and they just, whatever money they make.
Okay.
Yeah, like Litchfield baseball has, they have their crew that runs it and they get whatever profits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, you're talking about baseball, softball, those are probably the ones that they've always run concession stands to my knowledge. And I don't think they run them during practices, right? It's just games.
Mostly, yeah, there's sometimes, one field will have a game, another one will practice, it will be open, but we
Right.
try to keep it open during all games.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like avoiding baseball and softball fields, probably a good general guideline.
Yeah.
But Saturday morning soccer, I would love to have a cup of coffee in the dark.
Oh, yes, I agree. I understand.
I'll be upset if they're not there.
There's a reason we don't do concessions for soccer. It's because, again, you have to find volunteers to do it. And that alone is difficult, so.
Some of those fall mornings, it gets cold.
All right, let's move on to old business. Joint meeting with the Conservation Commission. You guys got my email that they're looking to hold one on April 1st, and I think Matt is still here, so he can sort of talk with us as well. But I did hear back from, I think, Steve and Chris. I don't know if anybody else is able to join that meeting.
Yeah, I can make it.
I can make it too, Andy.
Okay.
Have they given us an agenda of what they
Not
wish to
positive.
talk about?
I couldn't quite, I heard a couple people talking. Steve, what did you say?
Have they provided us an agenda on what they wish to discuss yet?
Yeah, we had.
Well, it was really just a joint meeting, so it's, something that we can bring up things that we would like to discuss, and they can bring, obviously Parker Park being one, and the milfoil that we've always been talking about at Dara, that we've worked hand in hand with the Conservation Commission within the past as well. So I don't know if there's any other items on the agenda other than that, but we do share, and we share property really, or share responsibility at the John Bryant River access as well.
I think moving back to the whole milfoil thing, we as a commission need to figure out what we really want to do with Dara Pond. Do we want to keep it as a frog pond? Do we want to get it back to the point where people might want to swim there? Because that's a different equation on how much money we want to spend on the milfoil.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So we really, and that's kind of why we pulled it 2 years ago as a warrant article, because we really needed direction on, what we want that body of water to be for the town.
So Matt, are you still there?
Yes. And it
So
was-
was there anything else that you guys were thinking about as far as the agenda?
Those are the two items that I was aware of, thus far.
And you said it was at 7 p.m., if
Yes.
I remember correctly?
Yes.
And you guys are okay if we join remotely?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, so you will have, now do we need to post that, Steve, as a separate meeting for us, or will it be posted as a joint meeting for the Rec Commission and Conservation Commission?
I think it should be posted as a joint meeting.
Okay,
Almost like we did when we had the whole emergency management team, we had us with the Board of Selectmen for the soccer tournament.
all right, so should we post that, or,
I think we could just work with Joan, who is the chairman for the Conservation Commission. I think if you two just come to an agreement, it could be posted as a joint meeting.
all right, so I'll take care of that. And so that'll be on April 1st at 7 p.m. And so John, if we can find a way for us to join remotely, that would be awesome.
I'd ask if they send a calendar invite with the link.
Okay. Make sure that Steve Weber's audio stays off this time. All right. Email communication calendar. So I know we've done this past, I assume this is the rotating, hey, who's responsible for responding for the month of April, May. So do you guys want to do that again? It seemed to work well last year.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Okay, so Andy, so we have, let's divvy these up now. So we have April, May, June, July. Anybody have a particular month that you'd like to avoid or you'd like to take?
I'll take April, that's fine, get out of the way.
I'll take May.
I'll take June.
We'll do July.
I guess
It's quiet.
Yeah, I was about to say, I guess I get August.
That's one of mine.
It's too slow.
I missed who was June?
Steve Weber.
Yeah.
All right, and so what about August?
Mike.
Mike.
Take September.
All right, now I guess I'll do October. And then we can revisit it for November and December. Because those are gonna be some heavier months too, so. All right. And then other business.
Just a quick update from, Natticook, I talked to them today, he wasn't able to make it tonight, but he is going to be pressurizing the irrigation this weekend. And also, he's going to do his nutrient, supplementations, whatever he's doing out there, his soil amendments is what he calls it, starting this weekend, so.
What is the status of the contract, by the way? Has it been signed by, have we received it back and it's been signed by everybody? Or I know it was being reviewed by legal and I think it was okay on our end. And I know Ryan's was having them look at it.
Andy,
You muted, Andy.
Sorry, I believe everything's all set with that, but I will follow up with Troy.
Okay. And I think our other business is, I know, Peter, you had mentioned the officer positions, so that is our next meeting, correct? The first meeting of April? I think according to our bylaw. So, I know in the past we've always seemed to run into issues where we have it in April and all of a sudden we're missing a member or two. And we decide to push it back 2 weeks because we do want to have input from everybody. Just realize that we will be, that will be part of the agenda for our first meeting in April, selection of officers. And if you cannot make it, make sure you get some feedback to us, and if you're interested in one of the officer positions, make that known, so we can make sure you're considered. Any other business?
One more, just with the good weather, wanted to talk about getting the tennis court, the nets back up and opening up John Bryant River access.
I was gonna bring up the tennis nets too. I'm around this weekend.
I'm gonna be working on a trail this weekend, or else I would offer to do that.
So Chris, I'm working till about 11:30 on Saturday. I can do anything after that.
Okay.
Just let me know. And what do you guys think about the John Brock? Should we, I know what we did last year is we went with the fire chief and sort of had them scope it out and give us the okay. Do we want to do that again now? Maybe contact them. And I know that the snow melt really wasn't all that significant this year, so the river I don't think is all that high. But
Andy, you want me to work with the chief and the deputy chief before that?
yeah, that'd be great if you could. And if they, if they're good with it, I would say we just open it.
Okay, I'll shoot the chief and deputy chief a note.
Well, you'll see them tomorrow anyway, right?
What's that?
Won't you see them tomorrow anyway?
I will see them tomorrow too. Another thing we need to start looking at is probably the dedicated Justin Cassette field this year.
Yeah.
So, I know Justin's dad has reached out a couple times to us.
Yeah.
Wanting to know when, when we think we'd be with enough time out there, so he can get, airfares and people lined up that want to be there for it.
Do you guys have an idea of when you want to, I mean, when is opening day for you guys?
It's gonna be in April, but I think we're gonna need a little more time for Ryan to, we wanna get the parking lot in with the Air National Guard. We'd like to get the access road in, and we'd like to get the grass to look a little bit nicer, so it might be later in the season. But we have a board meeting on Sunday, and we can talk about that. Based on.
Yeah, just let us know, and we'll do, obviously, whatever we need to do to support it and make it happen.
We gotta get the signage up and that. Another question is that flagpole still down at Sawmill that wasn't being utilized?
Yeah, it's still there. It's next to the shed, behind the shed, yeah.
Is it good to use that for the, Justin Cassette, the rec field?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause maybe we can get the Air National Guard to put that up also while they're there. He'll be cementing the scoreboard post for us while they're there, so he'll need one more piece of,
Yeah.
one more item to knock off for us and get the flagpole up.
So Steve, the guard is still going forward? You're still gonna take
As
care
of
of
the
it?
video was 90% positive, and they were hoping to, come out end of March, beginning of April. So we'll hopefully get an update on Sunday from, Jim Spots.
Okay.
Have we heard anything about, the deck at Talent?
They'll execute all of it at once, from what I'm understanding, so there are two different teams that will come out. So once we get, Andy and I will get an update on Sunday, when we have the meeting, let everybody know.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. And, Saturday, I'm getting stuck in the arm for my first shot, and if I have time, I'll swing by and, take my leaf blower on the tennis courts and try to help out. But my shots are like 11, so.
All right.
I can bring mine down too, and Andy, I'll probably, I think that's still a talent, are they up in the office there?
They should be up in the office, yeah.
So I can,
Not in the office, but in the, storage, right, the other side.
Yeah.
so I can grab it.
Yeah.
Start.
All right. Sounds good. All right, so any other business? I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I'm not doing a roll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that carries 7-0-0. We are adjourned. Thank you guys.